Okay, hi everybody. It's Helen from Helen Pritchard Online, and I am speaking to Daryl Warner today, who is the guy who gets us to actually pick up the phone and speak to people. So I'm really looking forward to this today because I've got to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of picking up the phone and calling prospects. So I'm really excited for today's chat. So Daryl, it's over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Well, Helen, firstly, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to come on your platform and speak. So it's fantastic. I owe you one. Thank you very much indeed. And yeah, that's a great introduction. So yeah, my name's Daryl Warner. I run a company called Tenacious Marketing. And I hope the name gives it away. Essentially, people get in touch with me. If they need someone who's going to pick up the phone, I don't just pick up the phone, I smash the phone. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sometimes making 120 to 130 dials, not calls, wow. Dials a day. So people have employed me really to essentially do the cold calling for them. But to set the tone, just from what we were saying before, just like you, our backgrounds seem reasonably similar. So I started working in sort of cost per click, a company called Overture. I don't know if you remember them. They became Yahoo Search. So I sort of cut my teeth working for them, and I worked for Ask Jeeves and some other sort of well-known, I guess, digital properties. And my old boss said to me one day, you know what, you're the best person I've ever heard on the telephone. You could go and set up a business and it would be amazing. But don't do that yet. We need to sell the company and you need to do a couple more years with us until you go. I don't think you're quite ready. And that made me think that's not true. I could go and do this now. So I did, and I haven't really looked back. However, I'm now moving into this world of social media. As I said to you, I've never sent a tweet. I've done 2 Facebook posts in my life, both about Star Wars films, so not necessarily that interesting, unless you like Star Wars. And yeah, so through a mutual friend of ours, Kerry, I've set up a Facebook group, and I'm doing a bit more than that now. Seems like people are scared of picking up the phone, so I'm doing a bit of training, and I've loved it. So, do you know what? I'm so jealous of where you are, Helen, because I was yesterday speaking to someone in Santa Barbara, the day before someone in New Zealand, and I thought my world only stretched as far as these shores. So it's changing my world. Treat me as a novice.
Yeah, definitely. Working with people all over the world is one of my favourite things as well. Like you, I ran a small digital agency, and it was all very much, you know, going to see clients and doing this and doing that. So when I started working for myself and, well, working in this field of coaching and training and speak, like you say, speaking to people all over the world, it's exciting, isn't it? I like it.
Oh, absolutely. For me, it's just sort of, you know, I was still working. I don't ever do this, but I was still working at 9:30 last night. Obviously, there's no people to call, but yeah, there was somebody who was really interested in what I do, and he sort of had some issues about picking up the phone. So yeah, we spent a long time just sort of talking about it, and me trying to convince him that he shouldn't be scared of it. He should be picking up the phone. But yeah, it's opened my eyes. Absolutely. How did I miss this?
It's all been going on in the other world. We call it the online world and the real world because it's 2 totally different worlds.
Yeah. But I've been working for a sort of PPC, SEO agencies, a huge social media agency, but I've been making the calls for them, but just not practicing what I preach. So you guys are converting me.
Yeah, your new business then, or your business that you're talking to what are you talking to people about?
New business. So absolutely. For me, it's all about new business. I think me and you are the yin and yang, aren't we? You're all about new business and driving leads. And as you said, you're about sort of making people, giving them a fantastic idea for them to come to you.
Attraction, yeah.
And I'm the exact opposite. So I'm that guy that's picking up the phone and I'm getting straight over to people. But there is one great thing about the phone, of course. It allows you to sort of, when you get hold of that decision maker, which isn't always easy, but you can get that sort of passion and enthusiasm for, in my case, my clients, directly across to them on the phone. So I always think that's the benefit of telephone sales.
Yeah.
The negative is there's a lot of picking up the phone.
Yeah, so how do you handle all the rejection then?
Oh, I'm so used to it. With a face like mine, I've been rejected since I was 15. So, do you know what? It's part of the game, isn't it? On my Facebook, I've been sort of saying to people, I get shouted at a couple of times a day. If people need to let off a bit of steam on me, that's fair enough. I am interrupting them, but I've got a couple of tricks. You know, I share one with you. When I phone people up, one thing I say quite often is, I would say, "Hi, is that Helen? How are you today?" And hopefully you'd say back, "Hi, I'm fine. How are you?" And when people say that to me, my wife laughs when she works from home. I say, oh, "You're the first person who's asked me that in about 6 hours. Thanks very much. I really, really appreciate that." And straight away, sort of humanizes you, and most people want to give you a virtual cuddle and sort of say, all right, well, I'm not going to be horrible to you. Of course, after that, you've got to kind of go straight in for the clear, concise, straight to the point sort of what we do. But I do that. There's a couple of things that I can do to you pick them up over the years.
So I was watching a thing yesterday about the sale. I can't remember his name now. He's a sales guy, and he was saying how he never takes I'll think it over as a response.
Yeah, is this one of these American type things?
Australian, I think. But yeah, he was saying that it's either a yes or a no, and there's no kind of like in between. So how you felt about that?
Well, I don't agree with that, basically, because do you know what? There is an in between, and you're missing the trick. Bless you twice, may I say? Of course. I think that you're missing the trick there. Firstly, can I say, Helen, I'm not a Gordon Gekko kind of busting balls type of sales guy. That's not the approach I go for. And before I did this, I looked a lot of the sort of sales blogs, and they all seem to be like, coffee is for closers and this stuff. And that's not really what I believe in. I think there's a much softer, nicer approach. Do you know John Buchan, Helen? I know
John very well, yeah.
So John and I work together. So essentially, I've worked with John for about 4 years. Me and him hit the roads, basically. Can I say, I gave him some of the... I used to make him come on sales meetings with me, and he was awesome. He was a great guy, basically. But I think that's wrong, because if people sort of say to me, look, I can't sort of make a decision on this now, come back to me in 2 weeks' time when I'm looking at this, I do. It's all about people's timing. You've got to remember, you're asking for their time. Yeah. You're interrupting their day. And if they say, no, it's not quite for me, call me back in 2 weeks, I do. But if they say, send me an email, I tend to not send an email, just because I realise that when I send an email, they're like, right, that's the cold calling guy. No, I'm not interested. Call me in a year. Yeah. And that's the door shut, because if you call back then, it's like, did you not get my email? And, my mum brought me up well. It's all about good manners and being polite and respecting the people that you're calling, really. So I think that's a part of it.
So for example, my thing, I sell corporate workshops into companies.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to sell my e-learning into companies as well. So that would make sense for me to start ringing, get on the phone and speak to people in companies. But what about things like my mastermind, which is sold to end users? So that's sold to the individual, pays for that themselves.
Yeah, so...
Would you ring people about that, like at home? How would you do that?
Well, do you know something? That's a really brilliant question, and it's so relevant, because through the wonderful Kerry Rycroft, I met her through John Buchan. John did an interview with me, and I was talking about cold calling. And she sort of, and can I say, I've sort of fallen in love with Kerry. She was around my house having dinner a couple of weeks ago. When you meet people, within 30 seconds, you think, I've got clicked with this person. She's my kind of lady, really. But she phoned me up and said to me, look, this is what I'm doing, and it's very much contacting the individual. And I want to give value for money. So I said to her, and again, this is, where it's like, I want to get as much money out of you as possible. That wasn't the approach she took with Kerry. I said, I've never done this before. I've always done sort of straight to, marketing directors or businesses. So I'd love to give it a go. But can we just do a month contract just in case it all fails? So you're not losing money and I'm not locked into having to do something I can't achieve on. And she said, yeah. Oh, how wrong I was. It's been awesome.
Right, okay.
I'm not going to give her numbers, but she's rebooked with me for 3 months. We're doing twice the amount. She's saying I'm adding to her bottom line, and there's something fantastic about it. I've completely changed my approach, Ellen, with this.
So how do you? So give us some of your secrets then.
The way I've been going in with this is sort of coaches and consultants, all sorts of different practitioners. Lots of them can be sort of psychotherapists, or business coaches. And I go in and I pretend I'm in Kerry's office and I'm a grad and I'm very apologetic for calling people, and I explain that I'm very, very nervous on the phone, but if you'd allow me 30 seconds, I try and be really clear and concise. When people sort of say, oh, okay, straight in, right, this is what Kerry Rycroft does. I'm clear, concise, but then people, what they want to hear is they just want to know exactly what it is. So I change it. I'm straight to the point. This is what we do. And then I go back to being quite apologetic and was that all right? And it's been working, basically. So I wouldn't do that. If I was phoning up the marketing director of Halfords, I wouldn't go for that because, why is this grad speaking to me? This is ridiculous. But for Kerry, it's really, really worked. So I will say, can I say this? I've had a woman, me and Kerry couldn't believe this. There must be some nutters out there because she called me back and said she was phoning the police.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't quite understand. Her husband then called me back, furious, and I took the call. And I just explained to him, look, this is what we do. It was a cold call, but there isn't really any need to call the police, and I'm not sure what you'd call the police about, basically. And
So
he
what
said,
about, go on, did he start quoting about GDPR?
no, I think his wife was having a couple of issues. He apologised.
Well, you never know what you're going to get when you ring someone up.
No, you don't. But calling the police, I have to say, I called Kerry. Like, what's going on? I might have the old bill at the door here. But no, that didn't happen. And that's the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. And it was a couple of weeks ago. But you mentioned GDPR. Obviously, I'm not holding people's data here.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're aware. It doesn't have the most massive effect on a lot of telesales because you've got I'm working for companies, let's say, for example, affiliate management for affiliate marketing, and I'm phoning up people who manage affiliate programs for large companies. It's a relevant call. I'm not holding their data.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have had to do a couple of things around it, but from some of my other colleagues who work in sort of much bigger businesses than me and hold lots of info, I think they've had a bigger nightmare than me. Has it been something that's kept you up at night?
No, not at all. No, we're all right. I think it's one of those. It's just like one of those things it's just like it's just common sense, really, isn't it?
It is.
Don't abuse this, don't abuse that, and it's designed to take off the 10% who absolutely abuse it, I think, rather than the 90% who are doing the best with what they've got, with the legislation that we've got. So it's not something that we particularly keeps us awake at night. No.
Hey, Helen, I know you're interviewing me, but I'm sat here curious. Can I ask you a question?
You can, yeah.
Hey, so you're a business owner. I checked you out on LinkedIn. You're obviously highly successful there. Do you make cold calls?
I've never made a cold call in my life, ever.
May I ask why?
I don't know. Well, because I'm frightened. I don't know. Because I just don't want to feel stupid, or I don't want to for people to be mean to me on the phone. So my methods are all built around other people coming to me, so I very rarely have to deal with rejection. I think that's it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's been really, really, really interesting because I built a course and put some very clever ideas together. And something that's really come out, I said to you, I was talking to someone over in Santa Barbara yesterday, and we were talking. I apologise, RJ, if you're outside Santa Barbara, around that area, just in case. He said that was the closest big area. So we were talking, and he said to me, I really fear the phone. I'm very, very sort of scared of picking it up. How do I get over that? And when I told him the answer, I could just feel the fear in his voice.
What's the answer? The
answer, there's only one way to get over the fear of picking up the phone, and that is to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
There's no way of getting around it, It's just, when I started working for a free newspaper, I've moved out of London. I'm back in Oxford now, and I used to work for it doesn't exist anymore, but my first ever job, calling for a free newspaper, selling classified ads at the back.
Right, yeah.
I used to hate going in there, and my mum had bought me all these shirt and ties, so I felt like I can't give up the job because she's sort of invested. I was quite young then. She's invested in all these clothes, and the funny thing was, I just thought to myself, right, I've really, really got to do this. So I thought, rather than sort of worry about it, I'm going to make myself pick up the phone more. I always thought I was nuts. So I used to spend my last hour when everyone was calling, I'd write out a huge list of all the people I could potentially call. Because if I had it in front of me, I didn't have to sort of waste time going through Rolodex. And by the way, we had no computers in those days.
I know, I remember those days, yeah.
And there were people in the office smoking. I don't smoke, but I can't believe that. And I thought I'm going to start just making, and the guy I was working for used to time how much time you were on the phone. And I did it for a couple of weeks, and he used to get me on a Friday and say, do you realise how much time this guy spent on the phone today? How many dials he has done? And after, it took me about 3 weeks, I got shouted at and stuff like that. And the fear just sort of disappeared. Yeah. I just thought, this is my job now. I didn't realise that it was my life sentence. At that point. But it was kind of what I ended up doing. So do many of your guys pick up the phone? Are they all about the email? Do they do a bit of both? Or
I wouldn't say any of my clients actually pick up the phone. Some of my recruitment clients will. They'll be more traditional, getting on the phone and stuff. But I'd say the reason why people gravitate towards me is because they don't want to pick up the phone.
Yeah, I understand that.
To them from LinkedIn. But one thing I have said when I go to companies and do their LinkedIn training is that if they've got a telesales person in the in the business to bring them in, because it's really powerful to do the two at once. So if you're building your LinkedIn network and people are accepting and coming into your network, then if you've got a telesales ringing them up saying, oh, you recently connected with our sales director on LinkedIn, you know, can you tell us about this, that, the other? It just give you a bit of a warmer intro than total cold from nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? That's something really, really good that you've said that, because the King Buchan, as I used to call him when we sort of closed deals, and that name still rings with him, Mr. John Buchan and I work with quite a few clients, and they've been using John's copy.
Yeah.
And yeah, John's copy is
brilliant.
You know, when I first read John's copy, I wasn't sure about this. I read it and thought, rabbit in a hat, top hat.
Genius.
You know, it's
He's a genius, basically. Yeah.
Oh, it's genius. It works. It's really been working. My clients love, not all of, I should say only two of my clients are working with John, but they're still working with him. And that's what we've been doing. John's been sending out these emails. I get the list, and then I follow it up. And I've had people saying to me, are you wearing the top hat at the moment then?
Yeah.
You know, because he puts that in his copy.
Yeah, would work really well, yeah.
Well, it's just, you know, when someone opens it with a joke,
yeah,
it's a nicer feeling, isn't it, than, oh, just another cold call kind of thing. So I totally agree with everything you say there. And it's been talked about on my group a little bit. People have been saying, you know, is it better to send out emails and then follow them up? Because I do think
it's good to have that approach, isn't it? So tell me about your group then. What's your group all about, and how?
Am I plugging it too much, Helen? You can always slap me down if you want.
No. Tell us about your group, because people are going to want to come and find out.
So basically, as I said to you, I've not really been involved in Facebook or anything. You know that fear that you were talking about? I did my first, I videoed a call and put it on my group the other day. I was feeling the fear because I was watching one of your videos last week, and you're like so natural, aren't you? You know, you've done it a million times.
Well, that's it. You know. That's what I say to people. The only way to get over video is to do more video, and you just
exactly.
say the fear just disappears, and it just becomes second nature. Yeah.
But you've got a face for Hollywood and I've got a face for radio, you know, so there's a big difference there. But so on the group, basically, what we've been doing, I've opened it up because for those people that sort of fear cold calling and don't want to do it, and believe it or not, there's a couple of people who love cold calling as well. And I posted a video on myself, and other people have been posting their videos. So it's a place for us to discuss cold calling tactics, you know, everything that's going on in the world of cold calling. And somebody said on there, you know, it's having a bit of a renaissance at the moment. And I sort of said, well, no, it hasn't gone away, basically. It's still there. It's just that other methods. Is that a cold call?
No, it's just in the corner.
Other methods have appeared, you know, that you can work in unison with. So, yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm getting used to it. I said to you, I'm checking I've got. Can I show this to you, Helen? I've got an iPhone 4.
Oh yeah.
So I can't get onto Facebook or anything on here. I've never done that. My wife thinks I'm absolutely nuts. My daughter's got a better phone than me. And suddenly I've started getting on the iPad and looking at do you find that? What are they doing? It becomes quite addictive, doesn't it?
Well, John's got a great group, and like I've got a LinkedIn marketing group. It's got like 2,500 people in it. So it's like it is to have a group that's yours for you to kind of look after and develop yourself. Definitely, it's a great sales tool, but it's also a great place to put people, you know, when they're not ready to buy, and you can put them in there and they just come into your world then, and then you can sort of warm them up through there. And
I found I've been learning all sorts of stuff. You know, I thought I was doing really well. I got 102 people in my group. I thought I was quite excited about that. You've just crushed me with your 2,000.
Well, John's even bigger, isn't it? Charm Offensive. So it's not it's about, you know, the right people are interested in what it is that you're eventually, hopefully, you know, they'll buy from you and that you want to educate people about. And as long as that's the case, you better have, if you have 100 people that buy from you, it's just as good as having 1,000 people and only 100 buy from you. So what's the group called?
The group is called Tenacious Marketing.
I'm writing it down, so I'm going to come and join. Is it a free group?
Yeah, it's a free group. It's absolutely a free group. There is obviously, you know, we all work in sales. The one thing that I've developed is, and this is where the sort of scary thing for me is, I put together a sales course, basically. But I'm doing a bit more than that. So a couple of people who have signed up with me at the moment, I was talking about the chap in just outside Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
So I was sort of talking to RJ yesterday, and he's bought the course. And I said to him, are you going to pick up the phone? Because I'm going to give you all of these tips. And he's like, oh, I'm not sure. And I said, do you know what, RJ? For 1 hour each week for that month, me and you are going to be on Skype, and you're going to be doing calls, and I'm going to do a few for your business as well. But the thing is, Helen, I'm sure you feel the same. You know, if people are spending money with me, I hope it comes across. You know what? I'm probably the only person who rolls out of bed and thinks I want to get on the phone. So I can't say that I'm the best salesperson in the world, because I don't know every salesperson, and I met some people that I think are better than me. But I can say I'm probably the most enthusiastic person on the telephone about picking up the phone and getting on it, basically.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You got to be passionate about your thing, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so with RJ, I'm going to be giving him a lot of sort of one-on-one, basically, over the next month, where I'm going to be sitting with him and helping him sort of pick up the phone and watching him, basically, because I've had an opportunity to do a couple of sales courses with some nice companies. And tell me what you think about this. So when I've walked in, I think they've been expecting me to pull out a PowerPoint and, do you know what I mean, and kind of go through these slides. And before I've gone in, I've asked if we could have a meeting room with what I would say one of those sort of PlayStation type phones, you know, the meeting phones that sit in the middle. Yeah. And I just love watching people's faces drop when I sort of explain what I do, and I say, right, what I've done, I've researched the kind of clients that you're going after, and I've built a list, and I've got some direct numbers in there so we can definitely get through. And for the first hour and a half, we're all going to start calling one after each other.
Nice.
Look at people and they're like, oh, you're joking, right? And it's like, no. We're talking about doing telesales. So I can talk about techniques and all of this stuff. Yeah. But, you know, the thing we need to do is do some calls so we can understand how we're doing it, what we're doing wrong. So there's no point talking about techniques and all of this until we start doing it. Yeah. And it's amazing. You know what? I sit there with this whiteboard and I give it to other people so they can write what they think I should be saying as well, because I'm not going to say I'm so amazing that I'm beyond learning. I'm not. I'm sure you feel the same. There's always stuff to learn. So yeah, I mean, that's something else that I want to sort of incorporate into the group, basically, and sort of move that across. And the other thing, you know, it's not just about the telephone. I ran a large sales team and I made them all pick up the phone. And my boss inspired me to do this, but I spent a lot of time going into people's offices. I'm sure you did in your agency time, right?
Yeah, in the agency days, yeah.
Yeah, so there's other stuff for sales, so I want to sort of see if I can move it on to something else at some point. But John keeps telling me, I keep phoning him up and saying, I've only got 100 members now, and he's like, mate, it's not a sprint. Calm down, relax, have a cup of tea. It's a marathon. It's going to take you a year to kind of get moving. Do you agree, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's with groups, it's like pushing a ball up a hill at the beginning, and then eventually it sort of gathers momentum and rolls down itself. So, you know, we get 50 or so new members, you know, every month at least. So just people coming to us now. So it's just, it turns it round. So we don't really need to promote it. But at the beginning, you do have to tell the world about it. Yeah.
So when I said to John that I was doing this interview with yesterday, his exact words here were, she is awesome. She knows what she's talking about. Is what he said to me. So what's your advice to me, Helen, as a social media guru, and I am nothing more than a learner at this point?
So for you to get leads for your sales course, there's two things.
Yeah, just on how, for how I should be managing this social media group. I'm interested to know your advice. John says you should be replying to people and interacting and asking questions.
Oh, in the group, yeah, replying, interacting, getting people to do stuff. So doing mini challenges and that kind of thing, and asking questions to encourage them to get involved. People love that kind of stuff, definitely. But to get more people in, I think you should be doing guest expert spots. So pitching for and going on and doing guest expert spots in other people's groups, other people's VIP groups, other people's podcasts, other people's walls, a bit like you're doing now. Because it'll be that when people get to know you and see you, they'll want to join your group and just be in your world. And that's when you'll funnel lots of people in there.
And what's the biggest no-no for this kind of stuff in your mind? If you could...
For me, I think it's being too restrictive. So I don't have any particular rules in my group around promo. I let people promo my group. If it's just obvious, like someone just joins and starts spamming, then I'll just delete it and get them out of the group.
Right.
But for me personally, I don't like being in really tightly regulated groups, because I think if we're all here to do business, you know, and as long as we're on topic of whatever that group is, you know, I think we should be allowed to talk about what we do, because then we're going to be buying and selling from like-minded people. So for me, I think being hyper strict on the rules can stifle people's you know, freedom to get involved and talk about stuff because they're fearful of getting told off, basically. So I think moderated groups are fine, but I think over tightly, you know, controlled groups by somebody who's like, you know, Nazi, like, you know, you can't do this, you can't do this, to the point where you're sort of like, oh, I don't know, I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to break the rules. I think letting the culture sort of develop by the people that are in it, I think is really important.
And that's what I want mine to be fun more than anything.
Yeah,
I want it to be something that people enjoy.
That's what I say. So this is Facebook. We're not doing open heart surgery. Like, we're just dicking about on social media. Like, it's not the life or death stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't take it too seriously as well. Just have fun with it yourself.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I've been there. And John has been, as I said to you, the Gordon Gecko sales sort of Facebook pages. I don't want to have a ball busting, we're all closers type of page. I think, but I'll get my red braces out and my stripy shirt, basically. I don't want to do any of that. I want it to be fun and lighthearted. And yeah, I've joined it. Do you know what? Before I did this, I joined a couple of groups, basically. And there was one, a car sales group across America. There was a lot of people in it. There's about 100,000 people in it, but it was all ball busting kind of stuff, basically. And I just thought, oh, I don't really sort of fit in here at all.
Yeah, groups are led by the leader as well. You'll see this. The more groups that you join, just to see what it's like, the culture of it's very like a business. The culture of a group tends to be led by the leader. So if you're fun and relaxed and enjoy yourself, then your group will be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and then John is obviously brilliant and hilarious, but really, really nice person. And I think that shows in the people in his group. They're the people that you attract. Other people, like you say, are really bullshit and this, that, and the other, and, you know, quite sarky. And then that's the kind of people they attract. So that's the culture of the group. So I think it definitely comes down from the person who starts the group up, and that they're the people that you sort of attract, and the vibe of that sort of tribe is led very much by the person who opened up the group and that kind of thing. So I mean, I'm quite bullshit and quite salesy, talk about money and I like swear all the time and that kind of thing. So there's an element of that in my group, absolutely. But I definitely think the culture of a group comes from its leader, and the more I'm in it, because again, it's quite new for me. I've only been doing this sort of world. Like I say, I came from agency, running my agency to this world 2 years ago, so it's still quite new for me.
Wow, well, it looks like you've sort of overtaken the world in 2 years there. It looks like, you know, you've almost created another business from it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I have created another business from it, yeah.
And it allows you to not have to be on the phone at 9 a.m, I take it, because
you don't have to be anywhere at 9 a.m, Daryl. That's what I love about it. So yeah.
So I'm restricted. I can tell you 9 a.m. isn't the best time to call people. It's actually 8:30 a.m. when they first get in and they're having that cup of coffee, and you get them in a nice sort of frame of mind before the day started and stuff's annoyed them. So I'm normally at my desk at 8:15 and I'm calling at 8:30, and then I go and get my coffee at 9. Do you want to know something funny about John Buchan then? I got a lovely little story about. So John and I used to hit the road loads. And John was awesome. So John was the head of SEO at the agency I was working for. And I was the head of sales, basically. And John was brilliant because I used to literally walk in and say, so I'm the salesperson, so I'm not even going to speak. Because you guys don't want to be sold to, do you? And they'd say, yeah. And I'd say, right, over to John. And I'd explain the agency. But John used to hate this. He used to turn up we'd go all over the country, right? And he'd turn up at the station and he'd see me standing there holding an ironed shirt and tie, wearing one as well. And he'd say, I'm not wearing that. And I'd say, mate, there's no way you're going to this meeting in that T-shirt. Because he'd say, I knew he wouldn't come in a shirt and tie, even though I asked him to. So I used to iron two the night before, and carry it on the tube. And we'd there, and he'd change into it. And his face would just be, I hate you. I hate you so much. And I used to wear and make the tie as well. But he just started to get out of that. But when we used to go and see sort of financial-led clients, I'd say, look.
Imagine John in a tie.
No, I don't. I mentioned it to him the other day, and he was saying I would never ever wear a tie again, or a shirt, basically. And I know I say that I'm in a t-shirt. It's quite hot here today. Normally I put a shirt on, but it was always really, really funny just to see his face walk across King's Cross Station, just drop. To see me standing at the meeting place, you know, under the clock of all places, holding his shirt. But what I could say is that I don't know if it was the shirt or John, but we had a sort of 33% close rate with John, and no other sales guy seemed to do it there. And I was really pleased to see this. You know John's copy?
Yeah.
He's stolen a couple of my lines, basically. So he puts some of the stuff which we used to do, he puts on there, really. But he wasn't as mad and zany then as he is now. But I think he's kind of, over the past couple of years, he's created his own style. And I'm sure you're aware, John set up his own agency and did really, really well out of it. And he's really created his own style. And I kind of learned a lot of sales stuff from John now. I reckon I could learn a lot from you, basically, as well, Helen. I'm definitely getting that feeling that you know what you're talking about, basically.
Oh, well, I
should be following you.
I wish everyone's literally, John is like the most popular man on the planet. I'm sure everyone loves John, don't they? Everyone just thinks he's absolutely brilliant. I think I'm a little bit more polarizing, shall we say? But yeah, John and I love him to bits, actually, to the point of light stalking. So I'm going to go down to London and see him soon, whether he likes it or not. So yeah.
Hey. And you've achieved it by the sound of it. You say polarizing, but you set your goal of, right, this is what I want to achieve, and you've gone out and you've kind of made it happen in 2 years, basically. And
well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I am the LinkedIn person.
You are, and is this your office I see in the background? I mentioned the I can't even say it, the mural, and that sounds like an old lady, doesn't it? Is it mural?
Yeah, the wall, the famous wall. Yeah, everyone loves the wall. So.
It's awesome. How did you get that done then?
It's digitally printed wallpaper. So
is it?
The image and you put it onto wallpaper for you. Yeah.
Right, I just need to be getting some design tips from you as well. I've got a feeling. Best
investment I've ever done in my business. I think.
Really?
I think it's less than 500 quid, and it's sort of everyone always comments on it.
Do you know what? I've got a man cave. I took a huge risk last year. Are we going off the? We're going off the gist here. I'm just enjoying talking to you. I want to pour you a glass of wine, Helen, but unfortunately I can't. But yeah, I've got a man cave at the moment. I'm really pleased with it. I've got an arcade machine in there and the music system and stuff. But something like that on my wall would be.
Yeah, we can have any image you want and blow it up for you. So
yeah, I'm loving that. I'm absolutely loving that. It's cool. So have you got an office in home, or are you? Where can I ask where you're based and where you are?
So we're in Warrington, so we're just next to Banky Station. So we're about 2 hours from London on the train, but we're in between Manchester and Liverpool.
Okay.
And this is my office, yeah. So I need an office.
And is that where you're born and bred? Are you a Warrington girl, or?
Warrington girl, born and bred. That's me.
Am I ask your football team then, or?
United.
Okay. Well, I'm not really a big football fan, but my dad went to school with Trevor Brooking. Right. A bit of a giveaway. So it's West Ham through and through in my family, and my dad is a proper East End geezer, still living in Canary Wharf to this day. He's actually a Jack the Ripper tour guide these days.
Fascinating.
He was a VAT consultant, and now he's retired and he's fit and able. So he's done his blue badge and he does these tours. Maybe when you're down to London, John, I can get it arranged. You and John can go on a Jack the Ripper
tour. Me and John doing a Jack the Ripper tour. Your dad would just be the best.
I'll have to come along to that as well. I'll bring a bottle of wine.
That sounds like a plan.
It does, it does.
Right, I'm going to have to go. But I'll tell you what, it's been absolutely lovely to meet you, to chat to you. I'm going to go, next thing I'm going to do is going to go and join your group.
That's good.
And then I'm going to get this out so everyone can see and meet you and come and join your group. So,
Gary, I'm the sales guy, so can I do an obvious close at the end? May I do is that okay?
I'd expect nothing less, Daryl.
Thank you very much indeed. I certainly appreciate it. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this today, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed it. It's been brilliant to meet Helen, and hopefully you've all enjoyed it. I feel like there's been some good chemistry. It's been easy to speak to you. But yeah, if you want to know more about sort of telesales and what I do, and if you're scared of picking up that phone, but you feel that there is a possibility that you could make more revenue about it. Because one thing Helen and I both have in common is I'm all about the money as well. And not just for me, I believe it is a way of making money. Please go on the group. There's a course on there as well. But I'm not selling the course. I'd just love to speak to you and find out more about what you possibly need and see if I can help you. So there's a virtual high five coming your way for letting me do my plug.
Brilliant, beautiful close, love it. Lots of people could learn lots just from that bit, Daryl.
Oh, well, there we go.
Let things just fizzle out and then they forget to do that close at the end, so that's brilliant, well done. Right, yes, thanks. So any of my guys watching this, then if you enjoyed it, let me know, post in the group, and I'll post it you'll be watching this in the LinkedIn marketing group. So, because LinkedIn's great, but it's one way of attracting clients, and there's another way to go out and go and get those clients and be a bit more proactive, like sales, and Daryl will be able to help you with that. So I'll try and get some of my people into your group, and I personally am going to go and join it right now and arrange to go and see John and go on a tour, Jack the Ripper tour with your dad.
My God, there's so much going on. I'm loving it. I've got to go and get my diary.
All right, nice to meet you.
See you, Helen. Bye.
Bye.